So I will give like a short summary, so the viewers will also have an overview, and then we will start right with the process. So um, the goal is to improve the workflow and approach on how to write articles with the Zettelkasten, and quote unquote we. In reality, I decided on a couple of milestones that we are trying to hit. So the first is to get a clear distinction between what short form and long form means. So it's not the goal is not to have a philosophical correct definition or two correct definitions, but more the some working definitions so we know what we are dealing with and what we want to ignore. So the second threshold is then to define thresholds for the individual criteria for the long form writing, meaning what is actually sufficient because of with the one major goal of avoiding the whole of perfectionism, meaning okay when it's enough, and then we unlock the satisfying approach as opposed to the optimizing approach. And the third is perhaps we can come up with template on inventory. So I try to avoid templates in most cases because templates always impose the danger of self bureaucratizing, meaning you more and more optimize the way that you work to fill out the template instead of using the template, let's say, as inspiration guidance and concentrate on the task at hand itself. So perhaps it will be even more like an inventory or something like that. I don't think this is necessary, not like the most important aspect. I think the second point is, or the second milestone is the major milestone. So the first difference that you made that was the difference of commitment. So short form is not or with short form content you don't see the need to do like a lot of background research. It's just a thing that you're pretty clear on, and then also the need to edit is not that high. So you just polish it so it's nice to read, and then it's out there after you had the idea. With long form, you feel the need to do background research. Did I get it right?
Yes. I mean, it could be for the long form to do background research,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe just to think properly, no?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that I'm thinking what I want to think, no? That I'm developing my own thought completely.
Mm-hmm.
So mm, mm, when I write, I imagine three steps, no? The first one is to prepare, to
Mm-hmm.
prepare everything that I need to do the writing itself.
Mm-hmm.
The end of preparing is having an outline. Then the second step is writing. First, I take the outline and I just do the first draft. And
Mm-hmm.
then the last step is editing. That is
Mm-hmm.
where so when I think of short content, I mean, maybe it's a bad word because it could be very long, but the thing is that it shouldn't involve preparing, or
Mm-hmm.
at least only doing a minimal outline. I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't go into prepare new ideas or new thinking. It should be only do an outline if I need it, and then go to write and editing. And with the long form, it's when I allow myself to do the preparation step and to go. I mean, the thing is that I'm so interested in knowledge that I cannot stop myself. No, if I go into processing mode, there is no end. No,
Mm-hmm.
then, and that's the problem with this type of long form articles. That
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this would be a scientific publication, it's not a problem because that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to go deep. And if it takes 1 or 2 years to write a paper, is normal, no? But the problem is with for my blog, I cannot do that mindset, no, or to use those expectations, no, and that's the problem that I have, no, that I want to have long form content,
Mhm.
but I face that dilemma that if I allow myself to do some preparation, I overdo it. I mean, maybe I spend 90% of the time in preparation,
Mhm.
and I would like to do the opposite, not to, I mean, not the opposite, but I would like to write things that are well developed or well think, but I don't want to go into that rabbit hole of preparing as it was a scientific paper. That's my problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, so I see. So so I have like the following parents. So for example, short form. So as you said, so short form might not even be the best word because it can be like a short form content can be sometimes longer than a long form
Yes,
content. But perhaps
yes,
it's the most important difference will be that the one is uh, um, not yeah in a way unrefined, and the long form is highly refined because in
yes,
or the I have here in quotation that that the short form is more communication. So we, for example, as we speak, so it's not that we like rest and like prepare like like a 1 minute speech for 10 minutes and then give a response.
yes,
It's just spontaneous and it's fine. So we don't expect from each other a perfectly formulated sentence. It's just enough for us, for both of us, that the other person can say something that carries on the conversation. So we both together move in a direction. And it seems to me that this is what you mean by short form content. It's an act of
yes,
communication, and therefore, as long as it moves forward, the like the fictional conversation with the reader or with the blogosphere or whatnot, then it's fine. And the long or what you call the long form content is um, more like an actual publication, meaning it should be it follow like a coherent line of arguments if argumentation is involved and stuff like that. So did I summarize it correctly?
yes, yes, yes,
Aha. Okay, then uh, um, yeah, we have the following aspects. We have preparation. We have commitment. Preparation is divided, let's say, into inventory. So you have a clear idea what actually is needed in the Zettelkasten, and not in the Zettelkasten, in the article and whatnot. And then something like structure, because structure will, or it's different between set and space. So a set is just like the mass, and space will be added structure, and then yeah, this will be then let's say the seat of the article or the skeleton, and then you put on the flesh with like more beautiful language and stuff like that. So um, where I mean the basic relationship between, or the fundamental relationship between the Zettelkasten and the article, or working with the Zettelkasten in writing, is pretty straightforward. So in this case, you would just do the research in your Zettelkasten to a point in which you are satisfied with the substance that you have, and then you move on and create the sculpture or the article with the substance. So the problem obviously is um, how to actually be able to have an idea when it's enough. Because you could say, okay, I want to write an article about habits, and then when it's enough. If are you satisfied with empirical or in empirical evidence for a statement when you have a couple of studies, when you have some of the latest reviews and they confirm or refute your statement, or do you need to write a review yourself? So you have like 200 papers like standing behind your behind the statements that you are making. So to me, it seems um, that you um, have to define the goalpost first that you are aiming with, because then you can know when to stop. So this is different, for example, also for me of when I write a book. So when I write a book, I'm working more, let's say, scientifically. So with the book on habit, but also with the book on general fitness and that I'm theoretically writing on, but I now have to rest because I have to do the translation for the Zettelkasten method. Um, there it's open-ended. So when I feel that I can't like push it anymore, or that I have to spend like weeks to even like make one step forward, then I know, okay, this is enough because I can't like reasonably go move forward my research any longer. Um, I think, having said that, I think a template or an inventory um, will be will be a good idea because it allows you to create a goalpost. So you might start then with a mission statement, meaning instead of having the idea, like a rough idea where the article should go, and then start researching it, um, you would ask yourself, okay, what do I want? What is actually the thing that I want to deliver? So my I mean, my approach is biased in that case that I would also revert back to the knowledge flow, because the knowledge flow is basically an inventory of values, and these are, I think, almost all of the values that you can think of that you actually want to ship with an article. Because what do you want to give with or provide the reader with an article? You want to put the reader in a position in which their beliefs are more reliable, or you want to communicate about like useful tools, or convince the reader of the usefulness of something like that. And what I would do then is to start first with with a definition of the values that you want to ship, because then it's also or this also defines the, let's say, the nature of the article, because sometimes it's just about reliability. So let's say you make an outlandish claim, and then obviously the first task is to convince the reader that this claim might be outlandish, but it's actually very sound and based in empirical evidence. Or if it's a theoretical claim, then you can use arguments or a mix of both if you want to like fire your whole arsenal of making the statement true. And if it's about usefulness, then obviously um, the paradigm of what Fitzpatrick developed in How to Write Useful Books. So you have the list of the actual utilities that you want to transport, and then you ask yourself, what is actually the necessary information that the reader needs to have to understand the utilities. So, for example, when let's assume I would try to convince you of a low carb diet and write about the usefulness. Obviously, you need to know just a tad bit about insulin and glucose and stuff like that, so you actually know what I'm talking about. Because if I would try to convince, let's say, my grandmother about the low carb diet, she would look at me and just say, "Yeah, but I'm eating bread for the whole of my life and it works." And then this would be the end of discussion, for example. So because she doesn't have any background. Actually, it's not true, because my grandmother worked in the Soviet Union as a nurse, so she has some background knowledge. But let's pretend that she didn't. Um, so, you gave me an example article. So why don't we just go in the example article and then perhaps infuse a little bit of what I said?
Okay.
Um, or do you want to share your on your screen with the note that you sent me?
Whatever you prefer. I don't mind.
Uh, okay, fair. Perhaps um, I will use it myself. Open with Textamator. You have something. I'll make it full screen. So perhaps I'll make a text wrapper. No. So the objective, I mean, for you, I think this is to have it in mind for you. Obviously, it's good because then you're clear on your own intent. And I think the major thing is for others because it's an act of communication. So develop a stronger source of motivation that makes it easier to push through the cloud of creativity. So, what would you say is the actual value that you want to ship?
Mm. So, um, I mean, the cloud of creativity is something that you face if you
Hmm.
work on creative work, more maybe more in the scientific world, but maybe also in the artistic.
Hmm.
And it's something that you have to endure, no? To be in a block, in, to be in block for many years, no?
Hmm.
So the main value in this case for this article, maybe one value would be to explain that this is a thing, no? Because just knowing that you are in the cloud is good enough to get a sense of relief. But for this particular article, my intention was to improve the motivation to to endure or to survive the cloud. No, that would be
Hmm.
the goal for this article. No, how you can keep your motivation high or high enough to get out of the cloud.
Hmm. Um, so this is um, this is how I would approach it. So through the lens of the Node Flower, not saying that the Node Flower now is the ultimate goal for every or the ultimate tool for everything, but this is how um, how I would tackle it through the Node Flower. So you said motivation. So when I think about motivation, it's I think the strongest connection is to inspiration slash beauty. Um, so motivation is an emotional thing. So this is the rational side, because when you let's say you are on a fitness journey and you have problems with motivation, it doesn't help a lot, like, based on experience, but I think it's pretty controversial. If I just give you the facts about the nature of, let's say, fitness transformations. So I will just say, these are the major blocks. And for example, when you want to go and become super ripped, for example, then there's a phenomenon of the no man's land. So between, I would say, like approximately like 12% to 16% body fat, depending on your distribution, you don't see a lot. And even losing body fat will give you sometimes an impression of going backwards because you judge yourself also how you look in a t-shirt. And when you lose body fat, you lose mass, and then the t-shirt will be like it doesn't fit you so well. So it gives you an impression that you look worse. And I mean, it's more of a problem of more bodybuilding oriented people or people that do just train or train mostly for aesthetics. But just knowing that this is there mm, is not helping that much. Um, it's a little bit so to have a clear map on what it is helps you a bit, but how to access motivation is a different thing. So how to get fuel, for example. So um, what I my personal motivation or motivation trick is actually negative self-talk. So the modern psychologist will hate me for that or will say, "Oh, this is like really bad." But I like to badmouth me like a lot, and even I make fun of me. So if I don't want to go in the cold shower, I'm like speaking to myself in funny voices and stuff like that. And this is like it cracks me up, and I don't have any time. So I mean, it might be something about me because I also liked when my trainer or even one professor who had like a big problem with anger was going off. To me, it was fun. So it's just a personal thing, but you need to um, yeah, you need to get fuel somehow because when you're stuck in the moment, then you are confronted with emotions. And being confronted with emotions means that the rational thinking goes out of the window. Um, I think based on that, so perhaps I will, no, this is not. I will scroll down the articles. So if you watch the video now, you can pause the video so can you can read the full note here. So wait a second from the beginning. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. So now that you hopefully read the complete thing, um, so this, I mean, I don't know what is behind the notes, obviously, but it seems to me that you are mapping out um, mostly this justification for hope, meaning uh, that you kind of like make the reader aware about the phenomenon, and you create a map and say, okay, this is how you can navigate it. The problem that I then see with the article is this, because when you imagine giving somebody a map to reach point B from point A, and alongside you have basically to do a Spartan race, you still need to deal with the very setbacks, and you might know the map, you might know the destiny, and you might know what is happening to you, but you are not sure how to actually deal with the moment. So you can correct me if I'm wrong because it might be hidden then in the links, but like based on my impression, um, this is where I would work more. And this is, I think, in that case, these are the various thresholds that you can aim for. So, did you make the reader actually aware of the phenomenon? I think this is like or the first reaching the first stage is easy because you just explain the phenomenon. The second stage would be making the reader accept that this phenomenon is actually a real thing. So there you need to be a little, or you need to bring a little bit the experience of the reader. So sometimes it's enough to assume that everybody knows it. So when I'm speaking, let's say about um, fear about speaking in public or in front of people. I think 99.9% of the people are aware of the problem, and then when I explain it, then I can assume that this is a general experience that I can rely on. And I mean, and the 0.1% of people that don't have any issues with that, to them the article on any like topic that's connected to that is worthless anyway. Um, Other stuff is, for example, or it would be, it's different if you go into detail. So, for example, I mean, I don't think it's a pure case of that, but I think still many people think that if you are doing everything right, um, you should get to a point in which each step of the journey is easy. So if you are sufficiently prepared, if you have the best tools, if you have all the tricks to avoid like writer's block and creativity block and all these other blocks and stuff like that, then it's just a constant flow or constant experience of flow. And in reality, obviously, it isn't because the like if everything is in flow, you're just writing about stuff that you know like extremely well, and it's just uncontroversial. And then chances are that you're also writing about something that is obvious to other people, and then there's no reason to communicate this thing at all. So in a way, the struggle is inbuilt like the struggle with training. So if you want to train, you have to struggle, and you need to reach a sufficient threshold of struggling because this is the threshold of creating a stimulus by necessity. Because training means to disturb the balance or the homeostasis within the body, and it's always accompanied by let's say, an immediate negative effect. So it's about pain and feeling hunger and stuff like that. So you can't avoid it. So yeah, I don't. Okay, I shortcut it. I will give the hint. I think this will bite the people that are now on the Ozempic trip. This will bite them in the ass because I don't know what, but I'm pretty or I don't want to get in the detail. And I'm not confident enough to give the details. But I have like a good or well justified reasoning why this will backfire quite a lot. So, but as you can see, so now when you have these kind of like goalposts and be aware of the values that you are shipping, then you can ask yourself, is the reader sufficiently aware about the phenomenon? Um, did I provide enough motivation or some motivation? It's not just it's your I mean you could make it a task to like to pull and push every reader beyond the the goal line. But I would say it's enough to give some tools that a reader doesn't had before, so they can manage the problem better than before. So improvement, I think, is then sufficient. And then this is obviously what you already provided. So so my question is now, what do you think of this framework? So is it something new for you?
Mm, yes, it is new because normally what I would do is to write the outline and then realize, oh, I'm missing a part like this to explain this better, no? So
Hmm.
this, in this sense, or with this framework, I think I will be, I mean, not maybe 100% sure, but I will be more confident that I have the things that matter for this article, no? That there is nothing missing or nothing big missing that I'm going to regret not having
Hmm.
it from the beginning. So that so for me this is new and I like it.
Hmm. Okay, so um, yeah, the I think yeah, you described also the difference in approach. So normally you would go really bottom up and then react to let's say the gut instinct of missing gaps and stuff like that. So this, on the other hand, I would say is a more it's an approach that is informed. So obviously you have to buy into the values of knowledge that I'm proposing, but it's more informed by the actual values that you want to ship, and therefore it's a more not scholastic, but uh, perhaps it's similar to classicism, meaning You assume that there are certain values that are universal, and then you orientate yourself to more towards universal values instead of trying to like always come up with the individual solution to make the thing work. Um, this this you could then expand as an inventory, meaning let's say, so let's just copy and paste this. I'm allowed, yeah. Um, why does this? Ah,
Maybe if you increase the size of the warping of the lines,
yeah,
maybe it would be
you are right.
prettier.
You are right, Rep.
Mm, yes.
So, Crash works about diving into the cloud. So, you could fill in, you could use it. So this is an article outline, meaning it's more structured than the inventory. So this would be the preliminary step. So it's not. Perhaps you can argue about the correct order. I don't have any opinion on the correct order of these values, because you can say, okay, perhaps you need to first inspire, so you create emotion in the reading process and then give like the facts. The other as reasoning could be something like, but yeah, but you need to make the reader aware of the thing first, and then like work with this awareness, whatnot. But this is just an inventory. And I think it's easier to work with an inventory first, because it frees you from the, let's say, from the constraints of a structured outline, or like an order or something like that. Because it's, yeah, I mean, it's perhaps similar to, let's say, build the furniture. So first you need, I mean, perhaps, let's say, IKEA furniture, to make it more simple for us. So first, or at least this is what I do. First, I gather all the parts and make sure that everything is together. So this saved me quite some headache, because I bought, I mean, it was not from IKEA, but it was a fitness thing. So it was a vertical climber that I could bought for a discount. But for some reason, there weren't, like, a set of screws was missing. And normally you just like you start building right away. And when something like this happens, you are halfway there, and then nothing is there. But first, I like to make first sure that the inventory is present when I have the chance. And this would be something similar. So you would ask yourself, okay, what is actually necessary? What is also possible to do is to make a mind map, or a structured mind map. So I mean, there are tools that give you, so no, I mean, not this kind of like branching in all directions kind of thing, but rather a structured mind map that just goes in one direction. Because then you have the main mission of the article, and then you have the objectives that you need to hit. So this would be an objective, like give awareness of the problem, then deal with the problem of motivation, and with proper hope. So for the unaware, hope, I think about hope in the basic framework of Kant, meaning what the basic question is, what can I hope for? And not about optimism or something like that. So justification of hope is normally the thing that I connect to hope. And then you have the objectives, and then you have the various tactics, how to meet the objective. So a tactic might be, let's say, about the awareness of the problem, might be something like giving empirical evidence that that the phenomenon is actually there, and it's not just a theory or like an imagination or something like that. And then you have more like a strategy paper, I would say. So you have the mission, or the overarching goal. Then you have the individual objectives. So like pretty like almost not quantifiable, but very tangent goals um, that you attain. And then the tactics, and the tactics is then the how to get to the objectives. And then you execute the tactics. So when you, for example, say you need to convince somebody about something, and then one objective is to make the reader believe in this particular statement, and then you have two tactics: providing empirical evidence, and the other tactic is providing arguments. Then it's pretty straightforward that you apply those tactics and find the arguments and empirical evidence, and then you assume that the objective is met. Obviously, there's a practical problem because if you give all the empirical evidence and arguments in the world and the reader still doesn't buy into it, then it might be a problem of communication, or the reader is dumb. So one of the two aspects, or unwilling, or there are more reasons on the side of the reader. Interesting, just one. I can only think about one point of failure for you. So if you did it, if the substance there, so arguments and empirical evidence, and you failed, then you can only fail on quote unquote charisma, or like beautiful writing or something like that. Um, yeah, so this is how I would tackle this problem. And then, or this might be, so I have to thank you for that. So this might actually one way on how to solve the problem on writing the intermediate articles. So I don't know if I will make sure that I will like summarize this. I think we talked about the problem of the scope of writing with the Zettelkasten already, but I think the listener now is not informed. So writing a book is pretty easy. You just create structure node in your Zettelkasten, and then you have a growing outline. So either you can like pre-structure it, or you can just grow it bottom up. And then after a point, you will have a good sense. Okay, now I have like enough material to write the book. Then you copy and paste everything into the writing app of your choice, and then your Zettelkasten moves to the background, and you focus on just writing the big book. So big products are pretty straightforward and, let's say, simple but not easy with your Zettelkasten. Writing very focused is also very easy with a Zettelkasten. You have one idea that you want to present, and then you develop a select set of leaves connected connected to the values that you want to ship. Meaning, if you want to just inspire, for example, then it's just about beauty and give the reader an aesthetic of something that the reader can feel. Or if you would say, okay, I want to write about a training method, let's say, or make it more concrete. I want to present the training method, let's say the Norwegian threshold intervals. So it's a very specific type of like or lower intensity interval training with a good ratio of fatigue to stimulus ratio. So what I will do then is to write about utility, give practical examples, and give enough background information. So background information, I mean empirical evidence for the truth of my statements. So it works. So I would like just develop the utility, but it's always an idea in the center, and then just enough support of the idea at the border. So having the workflow of writing about one idea is also pretty straightforward. You just like take a note and then expand it, and the more developed your note is, the easier it is to write an article about that. And by developed, I mean be clear on the essence. So if you reach atomicity, it's pretty clear what the idea is. And then if you develop the knowledge values, meaning reliability, usefulness, relevance, beauty, and simpleness, then you have actually already developed the values that you can ship, and then it's just about like writing the damn thing. But the middle, like writing like medium scoped ideas that entail like quite some notes, but not like but are not that exhaustive like a book, is actually not so easy, I think, in the Zettelkasten, at least for me. I never had like a proper thing, and I think this might be a bridge to make these like medium scope articles work.
Yes, in my case, when I write a scientific paper, now it is easy for me to use the Zettelkasten method because I know how to identify which are the knowledge blocks that
Mm,
are present in the article. No? For
mm,
example, I have some mathematical models,
mm,
some methods, some results. No, so and now that I'm able to see the article, the scientific paper, as
mm,
a set of knowledge blocks,
mhm,
it is really easy for me to work in the paper because it's just develop all the blocks. And
mhm,
then when I have all the material, writing is very, very easy because all
mhm,
the thinking is done.
mhm,
So I think the problem with the when I'm doing these long form articles is that I was not able to see the what were the knowledge blocks that I'm dealing with. So
mhm,
here, one knowledge block is awareness about the phenomenon, then
mhm,
the motivation, hope. So I was not clear what were the blocks that I needed
mhm,
to develop for the article. So I was developing everything in
mhm.
hoping that I will develop enough to write the article at the end. No, so I
Yeah.
think that that's the problem that I was having.
Mhm. Yeah, then, so I mean, for you, so this is not truly developed by me. So sadly, I can give you an inventory, but this might be then or this is also how you can use this little custom to create or to help you developing such a skill. So then you would create a node on which you feedback the different values that you can ship. And by different values now, not in the abstract, because in the abstract, at least if you follow the node flower is known, but the let's say the incarnations. So motivation, for example, hope. In I would see them as incarnations of beauty, and therefore I would group it like this. But I think in the even in the medium term, I would say it's the incarnations wouldn't fit perfectly or wouldn't be mapped perfectly by the knowledge flower. Because you could say, okay, justification for hope is actually a mix because it might be about beauty, meaning you give an emotional loaded aesthetic of the thing that activates the reader. So emotion means energy in motion. Um, or would be is kind of like the what is Eselsbrücke? So the trick how to think about emotion, but it's still justification. So there's some aspect of reliability to it. So it's not like that clear cut. But I think if you it's a chance to develop your own understanding of like the specific incarnations of the values that you want to ship, and then you can use it as a tool, perhaps something not exactly as a template, but as prompts, perhaps that so you write an article, and then you just either develop it just by instinct, and then check the prompts later on, so for completeness or for inspiration or whatnot, or if you don't know how to tackle it, you use this inventory for your inspiration and then give you a quick start. So the question now is what yeah, what are the next steps for you to just try it out? Because now this is yeah, this is the rather spontaneous invention, let's say. I mean, it's not a completely new thing, but it's a new version, let's say, of the process that I was thinking of. But I think for you, it might be interesting um, to think about these like awareness and motivation and hope and stuff like that, and create a couple of inventories just to see what happens. And when you create 3 to 5 of those inventories, I think you see if you can create the scaffolding of the articles. And then I would order it in, I think, in the way of the framework that I presented in before. So are you aware of the GHOST framework? So goals, objective, strategy, and tactics.
I mean, I read it, but I don't remember anything.
Okay. So I'm or the it's just an acronym to for these various things. So the goal is basically the core mission, and um, it's sufficiently abstract so you don't need to change it all the time if something doesn't match up. Then you have the strategy, and the strategy is also sufficiently abstract so you don't need to like switch the strategy if something doesn't fit up. Then you have the objectives, and objectives are pretty tangible. So if you use it, for example, in the military, let's say we are now in the war. Let's say the mission is to win the war, and win the war could mean everything. It could mean capitulation of the enemy. It could mean conquer enough territory so it counts as a win, and the politician, let's say you are general, and the politicians and the other, let's say, warmongers are then satisfied. It could mean a lot, but this is yeah, again, it's sufficiently abstract and blurry, so you can have it as a constant. The overall strategy might be something also blurry, like putting pressure on various enemy posts or something like that. And then you have objectives. One objective might be conquer this hill. Another objective might be create a line of, let's say, of machine gun positions here so it's secured. And then you have like a list of objectives, and the various tactics are then the concrete steps. And this also it reflects the line of command. So the overall mission is guided, I would say, mostly by the ideology of warmongers or let's say quote unquote politicians. And then below that, the general like defines the overall strategy, and below that you have the assignments of objectives. So these would be the officers, and then the soldiers are the ones who carry out the actual tactics. So this would be in a military context. But I think it's a nice general pattern, because what you want to do is to have a plan on how to write the article. And the GHOST framework is a good framework on how to develop something like an action plan. So it's not an abstract plan, it's not a blueprint, it's not a template or something like that, but it's a framework to develop an action plan. And then it's nice because then you have things that are like blurry but are constant, and then you have aspects that are pretty much more clearer. But you don't need to like fixate on them, because sometimes it doesn't work, and then you can just throw it away. And yeah, then if you tried that out, I think there are two results, I think, perhaps three. So one result is it's just shit in your mind, and then you completely ignore it. The other is okay, it's you feel pretty much elevated, and then you adopt the method. And the middle ground would be okay, you feel that something is going on, and either just being or having or what's the time form here, but having went through through the process will change you, so you can approach the problem differently, or you can just adopt like a piece of it and discard the rest, what is not working for you. And this would be then the final step, I would say. So the steps are then, or the final step is to just write like 500 words or something like that, what the process did for you. So you make something like like a learning report or something like that. And I would do it because it makes it more explicit and guides your attention towards this. Because sometimes when you do such stuff, or when you experiment with such stuff, then it's not clear what is happening. I mean, sometimes it's super clear. So, for example, if you say, okay, this is it was total shit and a waste, perhaps not a complete waste of time, but it was an awful experience that you know can use for your personal growth. There you don't need a lot of like reflection, but especially for the middle ground, it's nice to have a reflection afterwards, because this puts your awareness to the details, and then you are more informed in which stuff you want to pick and what you want to disregard. So I forgot to summarize it like a proper ChatGPT clone. So beginning is just create three to five inventories, then create three to five strategies out of it. So with the goal, strategy, objective, and tactics, and then after you develop three to five, you might write an article or two based on that, and then you do a reflection and see where it goes. And the sixth, obviously, is to inform me of your reflection, so you satisfy my curiosity, which might be the most important aspect of this process.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes.
So, what do you think? Any holes? So, anything that we should discuss with this matter?
Uh, no, I mean, if you can go to the end of the note, because what I was doing here,
Mm-hmm.
it was an outline already. It was an ordered list of the ideas I want to present, no?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what was wrong in this sense, that first I need to develop the blocks, the material that I need, and then I have to write the outline. I think that that's the biggest change that I
Mm-hmm.
see now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I ha often have a very similar problem. I even now have a similar problem. So I have um, um, like a very big outline now. No, it's not exactly an outline. It's more I use a table for that, but it's similar to an outline for the English translation for the Zettelkasten method. So what I did was I recreated the outline in this table, and then of the German book, and then I infused all the sections that I want to add to the translation, and improve or create yet another like step of improvement. But then, like over time, I feel lost in let's say, yeah, not lost in the details exactly, but I think there's some, I don't know how each aspect connects to the bigger mission or to the bigger picture. When I just like have the look at the local, for me the image is clear. It's clear. Okay, this is something that belongs in the Zettelkasten book, but how it fits in the Zettelkasten book. So what particular role it has. Um, Sometimes it's not that clear. So one example is that I now have written a section, a pretty long section. I think it's 6,000 words or something like that, about how and why to develop a deep knowledge work practice. And it originates from my attempt to convince the reader of the benefit of dedicated sessions, opposed to just like writing notes on the fly and putting them in your Zettelkasten. Um, Yet I don't know. I don't know how to, I don't know yet, so it's not like an unsolvable problem, but I don't know yet how actually to make it work, how to make it work in a Zettelkasten book, because the expectation or one ex or and well justified expectation is obviously that a Zettelkasten book should focus on providing the Zettelkasten method, so the mechanics, and perhaps my book is goes a step up to beyond the mechanics, meaning I want to make aware what actually the role of an atomic node is. So why atomicity is actually a thing, and how it relates to the howness of making nodes, and how it unlocks certain benefits, actually, because it's a strange thing with atomicity and the Zettelkasten also, and the promises. But um, I I think I think I'm in a way in a similar position that you are. I'm in the middle ground, because now it's not that I've just focus on the exact steps on how to like create a Zettelkasten, and how to, in the workflow stuff. So it's not just technical, but I also am confronted with the problem of making the reader aware what is actually happening. And I want the book to provide, yeah, the most value that I can provide. But now I need to find the balance, because to create the bridge from, let's say, from the pure mechanics of the Zettelkasten to the benefits of having a creative knowledge work practice, and connect it back, because for me it's very clear. But I'm doing this for 15 years now, and obviously I have more understanding, but also might have Stockholm syndrome. This is difficult to navigate, and also the other aspect then is um, the Zettelkasten method. How I formulate it is a way to make or to give you concrete type of actions for knowledge work itself. Meaning, you want what you actually want is not to create a note taking system. You don't want to like create atomicity and stuff. You want to create a practice. You want to develop arguments. You want to deal with knowledge properly. And this is an underexplored or much underexplored field. Yeah, therefore it's in, yeah. As you can see, I'm even struggling to actually like create or describe the phenomenon properly. This results then in a similar situation. So you have aspects that are clearly valuable. So this, and it's also, I think, so even not knowing the exact article or what you exactly are thinking of, but it clearly connects to the article itself. So I personally I wouldn't object to it and saying, okay, this is too much, or it's beside the point, or whatnot. But the exact role is just having this not really important. So what you end up and what I'm ending up is something like a shotgun. So you are shooting in the right direction and shooting just a whole lot of bullets, but you don't know how, I mean, how the shotgun is spreading and stuff like that. And I think the process that we went through helps a little bit to like narrow down the spread and like focus on the thing that you yeah, that is important to achieve the mission, instead of like shooting in the right direction and saying a lot of right things, but that, okay, I butchered the saying, so I would just say the saying, so it's a little bit more right. So Ido Portal said a very smart thing, and he said it's very easy to say right things, but it's not so easy to say the right thing. And this is what I mean. So you want to focus on the right things and not just say a lot of right things. And I mean, this is yeah, this is the struggle with the scope, and I think we share pretty much the struggle in here because I feel that I'm in the same boat that you feel that you are.
Yes, because here, I mean, because I need to do the thinking of how I want to do the article, no?
Mhm.
So that, I mean, that is also knowledge work because it is, I mean, if I do the inverse process, imagine that there is an article that I'm processing to understand how it works, no? That would go for sure in the Zettelkasten method because
Mhm.
I'm just processing something, no?
Mhm.
But here I have to do the opposite. I need to generate the structure and the flow of the article, no? And I think that you can also do it in the Zettelkasten method. I
Mhm.
mean, or at least that's the revelation that I'm having also with the scientific papers, no? That
Mhm.
instead of, I mean, it is the same process, but in
Yeah.
backwards motion, no? In opposite direction, no?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, because my claim is that the Zettelkasten method just makes tangible, just makes knowledge work tangible in general. So, I mean, personally, this is why why I myself interested in making the Zettelkasten or seeing Zettelkastens in various fields and seeing the commonalities and how it works, because I'd like to tease out let's say the general nature of knowledge work and not just like a collection of various things, because I think yeah the yeah the vision is to create a system perhaps that makes that gives you an environment in which consilience of knowledge, so I'm hinting at the book by E.O. Wilson, um, is made possible, because I think consilience of knowledge is how you get in touch with the general nature of knowledge as opposed to just specific aspects, and then this gives you like a better perspective on what you are doing. At least this is what I experienced also with my Zettelkasten, because the more I worked with my Zettelkasten, the more I was able to deal with all kinds of domains. And I mean, the last example that gave me confirmation was me dealing with a cell custom of a chemical engineer, and it was perfectly able to help her with the various problems and also understand sufficiently enough of the chemical stuff without having any detailed understanding of chemistry other than like basic biochemistry and what I also did in school back then. So obviously I wasn't aware of all the technical intricacies on like testing pH values of various source of crude oil or something like that, but it was sufficient. And I think I was able to do that because through the Zettelkasten, I built a general understanding of how knowledge actually works. So how the flow of truth, what the flow of truth is, and what scope means in the realm of knowledge, stuff like that. But yet, at least for me, it's not that clear cut. So I can give you a whole lot of right things, but not the right thing, I think.
Mhm.
Okay, so do you have final words? Perhaps you don't. You want to make the outro, so I can pause the record button and we can like debrief.
Oh yeah, I'm getting nervous. So,
Yeah,
I
I know.
mean, the main summary is
Huh?
that for me it's always rewarding to try to do the things in the Zettelkasten. Then
Mm.
if I find problems, they are opportunities to improve my workflow, no? And this is a good example. So thank you a lot for
Awesome.
this session.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like it was not exactly fair to put this on you. So I will. Yeah, we don't need an outro. I think the I will quote Niemann. the chess speaks for itself.
Very good.